from Taraba State. The PDP chairman, Abubakar Bawa, has resigned. The former chairman of the People's Democratic Party in Taraba State resigned over what he described as unresolved crisis within the party. Also, the Speaker, House of Assembly, lawmakers and commissioners have also defected from the PDP to the APC. This is coming as the state awaits the official defection of Governor Abu Kefas from the PDP into the APC. Once again, reports reaching us now from Taraba State. The PDP chairman, Abubakar Bawa, has resigned. The former chairman of the PDP in Taraba State resigned over what he described as unresolved crisis within the party. Also, the Speaker, House of Assembly, lawmakers and commissioners have defected from the PDP to the APC. This is coming as the state awaits the official defection of Governor Abu Kefas from the PDP into the APC. Interesting times ahead. Let's get into our conversation for tonight. The PDP is once again facing internal turbulence as its governors appear divided over calls for the expulsion of some of the party's influential figures, including Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayoshi, and Samuel Ayaun. Also asked whether PDP National Organizing Secretary Umar Bature, acting national chairman of the Wike faction of the party, Mohammed Abdurrahman, chairman of the faction's newly inaugurated Board of Trustees, Mao Uwabua, Austin Nwachukwu, George Turner, Abraham Amadi, and Dan Obi. The disagreements, which reflects deeper tensions within the PDP, is raising fresh questions about unity and the party's direction ahead of upcoming political contests. Tonight, we take a closer look at the growing rifts and what it could mean for the future of the party. Political affairs analyst Jerry Chukwuke is my guest tonight. Also joining me virtually from Kebbi State is Umar Aminu Kalgo, is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the program. Good evening, Mr. Chukwuke.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kalgo, can you hear me? Good evening to you. Welcome to Politics Tonight. Right. So let me start with you, Mr. Chukwuke. Right. Because many have called the PDP all sorts of names for allowing top guns in the party who engaged in anti-party activities in the last election stay in the party without doing anything, especially the minister, Nyesom Wike. So is his expulsion long overdue?
Well, let me say this. There are several sides of this story. But I think that what is important, in my view, is that the PDP now has the opportunity to truly start to rebuild their party because the train has left the station for 2027. There is no doubt about that. And I think, therefore, the focus ought to be not necessarily recycling the old politicians, but go out, come up with a proper agenda and a template to go on recruitment drive. New ideas people, fresh blood, private sector people.
You're not answering my question.
No, but wait a second. That's the future. We're talking about 2027.
No, let's talk about what happened 2 days ago.
Yes.
Is his expulsion long overdue?
Well, I can't. My point is there are several sides of that story. And Mr. Wike, former Minister Wike, Minister Wike, rather, former governor, will tell you that that position doesn't stand on legality. I mean, so he has his own side of the story.
An expulsion. From all the sides you have seen,
yes,
and from your analysis of all the sides you've seen,
yes,
is that expulsion long overdue?
I can't comment on that without taking a position that will be essentially not in compliance with the law and all the different rulings. There's a bit of confusion going on. And I think that continuing to absolutely bid on the issue of who is right and who is wrong at PDP at this stage does not serve our country any purpose that is meaningful. Because we need credible and viable opposition. This government needs it and welcomes it. And I just think that rather than all of this back and forth, chicken and the egg, and they don't seem to have a solution, to focus on the future. Get on out now and start to rebuild this party. Be forward thinking, new ideas people, fresh blood, recruit people from the private sector. Show me a reason why they must join. Nigerians want to be a part of the system. Professionals, people in the diaspora. Get on out and bring a new breed of politicians and quit recycling the old names and the same people over and over again, and we go back to motion without movement. Because 2027, in my view, it's like I said, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. The train has left the station.
For the PDP?
I think that Mr. President and my party is so way ahead, it's not even funny. So if I were the PDP people, because I believe, and many Nigerians want credible opposition, they need to focus on rebuilding the party for the future, and less focus on 2027.
And given that Nyesom Wike, currently serves as the FCT minister in an APC-led administration, what do you think the political implications would be if this decision stands?
Well, again, I just have, when you look at what's going on in the PDP, and we're going to see more in the next few days, with Minister Nyesom Wike's faction holding a neck beating and also essentially driving their own agenda. I call it chicken and the egg. At this point, if the objective is 2027, it's too late. But I think they ought to be now forward-looking to rebuild that party, but bring fresh people into the game. We need new ideas in the opposition.
So with the expulsion of Wike, Ayofaish and the likes, it's time for fresh blood to come into the party.
Well, I'm not talking about the expulsion per se. I'm saying that the party or any other credible opposition, whether it's the ADC or PDP or whatever mix, it is time to start to rebuild for the future with fresh blood, new ideas, and people who bring value, and many Nigerians are eager to join. But 2027, I believe the train has left the station.
All right, Mr. Kagba, let me come to you. Because, the just concluded National Elective Convention of the PDP in Ibadan was illegally compliant. Mr. Kagba, can you hear me?
Compliance is mixed. Is a mixed blessing, because it is known that there are conflicting orders of the court regarding the convention itself. We have two federal high court judgments that have an injunction that are against the holding of the convention. When we have a high court order, which is an interim order by the Oyo State High Court, which protected and guaranteed the conduct of the convention. With this type of scenario, whenever you have a conflicting, decisions of the court of the same coordinate jurisdiction, I think is a recipe and a recipe of uncertainty, actually. So, with the current situation having such, pending and subsisting judgments, one can say it's a position that need to be, decided at the appellate level for us to know which one will stand among these conflicting orders.
And I'm sure that you, I want to be certain that you have an understanding of what the PDP constitution says. Considering that and the Nigerian law, what do you consider as the legal conditions that must be met before a political party can expel a member? And, from what we know publicly, would you say those procedures have been followed in this case?
The expulsion, I think, is a secondary thing in this issue, because first and foremost, the convention itself is what matters, because it is the convention that is the background and the foundation upon which the convention held and decisions were met. And as just elsewhere I said, the convention is on a rocky foundation when you consider the conflicting judgments. I think issue of expulsion, I think the constitution of the PDP is clear with the level and the criteria of reaching such decisions. I think not only that lawyers will not be able to say directly that this is the position because of the conflicting judgments, I think the electorates too are a bit confused when you find that the issue of intra-politics, internal politics, is extended, sorry to say, to the courts. It's become more, confusing. So I think at this moment, we just hope that the internal party structure in this country will become very strong, because if we have a very strong mechanism of internal democracy within the parties, we wouldn't have recourse to this kind of conflicting orders vis-a-vis the position of parties when you have factions in parties. I think the internal mechanism and the democracy is what need to be very, very strong. So the internal democracy will be a formidable and strong one.
But just before I come back to the studio, Mr. Calgo, from the legal angle now, what constitutional rights, protect individuals like Minister Nyesom Wike, former Governor Ayo Fayoshie, or Senator Anyanwu now from arbitrary party sanctions? Now, if these rights are indeed validated, what legal remedies are available to them?
I think the legal remedy available to them, they have already, set them in motion, because there are already orders that prevented the conduct of the convention itself. The first judgments, because of the 21 days, notice that need to be issued before a convention is held. That is the Honorable Justice Omotosho judgment. And equally, you have the subsequent judgment in favor of former Governor Lamido, which is have to do with the question of internal democracy, that an order was made that he should have the nomination form to contest for the chairmanship of the party. And for him to do that and campaign and rally so that he contests under fair conditions.
Okay, Mr. Calgo, let me put you on hold so we take a break, and when we return, we'll expatiate this conversation and indeed analyze other angles to this conversation. Stay with us, everyone. Guest tonight is Jerry Chukwueke, political affairs analyst, former chief technical advisor to Imo State Governor. Also joining us virtually is Aminu Calgo, a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for staying with us on the program. And let me continue with you, Mr. Chukwueke.
Yes.
Would the APC absorb Nyesom Wike if it breaks away from the PDP?
Well, my party, the APC, is open to all.
Not all.
Anybody who wants to join our party is free to do so. So if former Governor Wike and Minister of the Federal Capital Territory decides today to join the APC, I am sure our party will welcome him. He has worked very hard for
the APC.
Not the APC as a party, but as a minister of the Federal Capital Territory. And his work speaks for itself.
So clearly.
And he is an asset, a major one for that matter, for any political party. So I'm sure my party will welcome him very warmly because he's a value driver.
Because clearly, Mr. Jerry, a weak PDP is advantageous to the APC. But does it bother you that it may also reduce the quality of democratic competition?
Okay, so and that's a great point, and I get it. My understanding of what's going on, and I believe Mr. President concerns himself with this, is that Nigerians want a credible and viable opposition. We cannot run a government based on self-correction. We need opposition that is constructive, so the policies of government are better fine-tuned. That serves our people. More so now when we are called a disgraced country. We're not a disgraced country.
Our people or members of the APC.
So my point is that it is not medium and long-term interest of the PDP, not even now, the APC, because our government is in power. This government needs credible opposition. We need the policies fine-tuned. It ought not rely on self-correction. So I don't believe that there's a deliberate effort in any shape or form to weaken opposition. Opposition itself simply would need to get their acts together. And it's overdue. Remember how we got into this quagmire with the opposition party, where they're going to field a southern candidate for president and so on. And it all grew from there. Because all we've heard all along is that people are jumping about in opposition parties as a platform to contest election. Ambition is what's driving them. And it's ambition that has brought the quagmire to those parties. So I say, if they focus on vision for Nigeria and have a conversation with Nigerians about how they can do better and what alternative
the PDP
views,
should have a conversation with Nigerians.
Oh yeah, that's my point. That's why I'm talking about new ideas and fresh blood and private sector people, professionals, technocrats. People want to join and be part of the system. Nigerians want good governance. And good governance demands credible opposition.
All right.
So that's
Let
the
me
point
hear
I'm
what
making.
Mr. Cargo would say about this. Mr. Cargo, if you can hear me, some PDP members believe external forces, including the ruling party, benefit from, or, for these internal disagreements. So is a weak PDP advantageous to the APC, and does it also reduce the quality of democratic competition?
Absolutely. I think all the questions are correct. Definitely. The saga in the PDP will make the APC more comfortable. And for the democracy, having no credible opposition, it weakens the ruling party, because when you have opposition, it is always you are on your toes to, have achievements to show that you are better than the other stronger opposition. I think the issue of the Minister of Abuja, I think, is a fundamental one. As we sit here talking about legalese, about his opportunities to fight back, I think the underscore, I have a great of worry with what we have in this country now regarding political parties. Because political parties are association and organization that thrive on collective loyalty. Let's come together with that benchmark loyalty to defeat another party. When you have something like this, and a government that won have someone who is from the other party in this government, so it's clearly, the fundamental groundnut of political party, is broken. And that's what we have with the issue of former minister being a PDP member and now, thriving in this current government and, fighting for it. So I think this is what the ordinary people look at. And I think it's greater, even the constitution of parties. What it matters is the fundamental thing about political party is that collective loyalty that you have between the members against all other parties. Your loyalty is to your party. And that's why you can forge ahead. I know in every aspect you have fifth columns, but we have never had a fifth column in a system the way we have it now. Before you can have it, but not having such positions. So that's why I think the opposition is very, very good.
All right, Mr. Cargo, let me stay with you because, earlier you said we should not focus on the expulsion of some of the members of the PDP. But if it's something that divides some governors, then I think it's worth talking about. Because as it looks, or as it stands, PDP governors seem divided on this expulsion issue. I see you laughing, Mr. Jerry. Legally speaking, how much influence, should governors have in disciplinary matters? Could undue influence from governors invalidate a disciplinary process?
Well, undue influence of governors is something that you can talk about because, that's why I say whenever you have a weaker political structure, then undue influence of political, governance will be very, very hard. That's what you have in this country. So I think the hierarchy of the party is very, very weak, and the internal democracy is weak. Definitely, the power of governance cannot be overemphasized when it comes to, the political parties. That's undue influence, is very, very strong. And the only way it can be mitigated is when you have a very strong political structure. Now, when you look at our political structure, it's not an established system. Parties should be an established system, just like you have the people working for them like civil servants, and they will become very strong in the internal democracy, and that's when they will be calling the shots, and people vying to contest in them will know that they will know they are at the red flags and where their power lies. So political parties ought to be very stronger than people who aspire and win position in them. And that's the reverse is the case in our country.
All right.
But we are developing.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Kalgo. Let me come back to you, Mr. Jerry. Is the PDP in a bigger mess than it was? I mean, when you listen to, I'm sure you've listened to what Governor Caleb Mutfwang and his colleague Ahmadu Fintiri had said. I mean, they said that the decision to expel these members were not part of what they discussed as senior members of the party, and it was important for them to clarify things. Yes, they stand with the convention, but they disagree with the expulsion of these members. Is PDP in a bigger mess than it was?
Well, the way I understand it, the PDP was also divided as to whether or not the convention should hold in the first instance.
Yes, it was. And
they got further divided by the expulsion issue. And if you go deeper, they have more divisions. It's just this thing is just cascading downwards. And it is a free fall, what is happening at PDP. And so I go back again to forward thinking, to say, would it not be better? And that is my view. The party takes a deep breath to say, look, we need time now. Let's go on a reset. We need time. Let's go rework this party. Let's bring fresh ideas. Go out, recruit more people, quality people across the board, and start to rebuild the party. The party needs full
But before they think
refreshment.
of rebuilding the party, they have to address the issues, as we had.
But look, they're not getting anywhere, and they won't get anywhere.
So they have to address the issues first.
So, no, but here is part of what's happening. It's the same recycled people who will never agree on way forward. But if you have an injection of blood, if somebody is ill...
Where are they coming from?
But that's the point. You get them. And Nigerians are anxious to essentially strengthen our democracy. That's the point I'm making. They're out there in the private sector. They're professionals. Are people very qualified in the diaspora. They're interested in building a stronger Nigeria. We need that. And this government and future governments need credible opposition. So I'm saying what we need now is almost like a sick patient that needs blood infusion. Sometimes you need that to reawaken consciousness, to get a reset. PDP as a party will continue to run around in this circle of ambition over vision until they start to focus on vision and the future. And that will require fresh blood, new ideas, in my view. And the opportunity to do it is now. And let's focus on 2027 because the train, like I said, is long gone, left the station.
All right, Mr. Kalgo, let me come back to you. And I want us to continue from where we stopped, talking about how much influence, should governors have in disciplinary matters. Is there any constitutional or legal framework that, this time defines or limits the role of governors in the internal affairs of political parties? So if the law is vague, how does that, ambiguity affect party governance?
You see, they have their own position, as in the structures of the party. But what we are talking about here is influence, influence. Because of the power they have, they can influence their chairman, they can influence, I mean, all the officers that will form this national working, these committees. So that's what we are talking about. But really, if you look at the situation now that we have, I mean, really, PDP is, well, the way you say, is in a great situation that is very, very troubling to them, I believe. When you look at the side of the minister, Wiki, just take the tally. They have 2 federal high court judgments to their advantage. When you look at the other part, I mean, who have conducted the convention, they have a high court of state judgment in their favor. So these are some of the, I mean, shaky foundation we are talking about. So I think there is desperation when you look at the PDP for them to have this convention, because it is long overdue. And because of the internal crisis, they weren't able to have it. And it always called for concern. So we, on the legal part, I think we have a lot of things to look at, because jurisdictional issue will crop up, because in all the cases you have the INEC as a party, and also the issues of the Electoral Act. So the issue of jurisdiction of Federal High Court and State High Court will come to play when these matters rise up to the Appellate Court. And the other aspect, the other aspect is about the internal democracy of a party. Our courts have tried as much as it can to say that the internal politics, the internal intra-party politics is the issue of the party, and the court should not intervene. That is what the Supreme Court have been trying to say in many of the judgments.
But has the Supreme Court been clear enough?
That's why I'm getting to.
Okay.
The nuance here is, I mean, the thin line is now, when should we say that whatever the party does, then there's no legal remedy, no matter how it bulldoze and do whatever it likes? That cannot hold water. So where a member have a real reason to go to the court on the rules and constitution of the party, that one too is there. So it's just like when you come to the company, internal proceedings of company, that's how it is. So there can never be a way where the court will say that whatever the party, I mean, does is not the business of anyone, whatever it likes. I think before it used to be, because you can see back then when politics, regardless of what happened in the primaries, the party will say, no, this is my candidate, and it will stand. Then later, our jurisprudence developed, and in trying to institutionalize internal democracy, the issue of primaries now have a lot of regulations in our Electoral Act, which if are not, I mean, adhered to, will lead to cancellation of such primaries. So this
All
is...
right, Mr. Kogo. All right. Let me speak to a politician on this same issue, because, I mean, at the end of the day, politicians would always do whatever they want to do.
Yes.
What does the typical political party constitution say about the extent of influence governors have or governors may exert? Talk about the APC, for instance.
Well, you know, governors are key drivers of the political parties. Not only do they represent significant parts of the country, but they also have capacity, if they bring their weight behind the party, to push it forward successfully. So I don't know how you define that, except to say that committed governors to the party, more so when elections are coming up, can play a very important role in bringing their constituents along and in making it possible in terms of mobilization of the party. I think that's where the governors play that key role, and because it's all about mobilization. It's all about how you mobilize your constituents and the party faithful to go deliver the results.
So is there any part,
seeks.
so this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Is there any part of the APC constitution that defines or perhaps limits the role of governors in the internal affairs of political parties?
Well, I don't know that. It's not clear that that is
in
the
the constitution?
Yeah.
In the APC constitution?
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Because, you know, when you have a situation that can be interpreted in different ways that are not exactly quite straightforward, I think what starts to happen is that governors who bring strong value to the party by way of mobilization,
And
by
funding,
way of
funding the party?
yes, and logistical support, and being able to win, being part of that winning team to deliver the party, essentially drive it and have more influence. So it's
dicey.
it is a dicey thing, and I'm not so sure that it's driven by the Constitution. I think it is driven by the prowess, the value drivers that come alongside being governors, because governors, you know, constitute a huge chunk of it. They represent the states, and they also, in fact, are part of funding the party, and they are part of keeping the party strong and viable in their respective states. So they play a very important role.
Mr. Kalgo, is it really dicey? You know, does reliance, because I talked about funding, so does reliance on governors for party financing give them this proportionate control? And is this also legally problematic? And I will give an instance, because the minister, I'm talking about Minister Wike, you know, funded the PDP for years when he was governor. And this is believably his point of argument today. He says he stood firm with the party when everyone left, and that's the reason no one has a right to check him. And to a large extent, how problematic is this, legally or not?
I think it is the proverb is correct that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And I think even the modern democracy, that's why to decentralize power so that power does not concentrate. You have the tiers of government, you have the arms of government where the legislature control the budgeting. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of, we need to develop about party financing, because the way it goes now, I think it is shrouded in mystery. You don't somehow know, because it's supposed to be an open book issue with regards to finances of the political parties. We're not there yet, but I think when the INEC start having the upper hand in enforcing proper conduct into party financing, then there will be much control when it comes to issue of financing, and the influence of people who sponsor the party to have more power on it, I think will really go down. So the laws are there that there should be declaration, their books should be open for audit and what have you, but the practice is not there yet. So I think that's why you find out the larger part of the party is sponsored by mostly the governors are the ones that bankroll parties in their states, and so why should anyone come their way to what they want? And always it is their favorites that win these positions. So not just to talk about political party, what can you say about even the general elections when it comes within a state regarding the local government? I think that's another indicator. That's an election that is even inter-party. Look at the influence of the governor, not to talk about intra-party. So I think these are some of the ways that we are imagining and developing. And also, I want to say that even our courts are not there. Just we are developing to take ourselves out of this kind of situation where we have conflicting judgments. I think I have a duty to the public.
We'll come back to that in a moment, Mr. Kalgo. We'll come back to that in a moment, because the president, today the president sent a strong warning to the judiciary. But quickly, Mr. Jerry, earlier you said this administration, or this country needs a credible needs credible opposition. What exactly are you bothered about? Is it that, the presence of these opposition figures in your party, the APC, could blur the lines between governance and partisan politics?
Well, listen, the point is that our country and our democracy must continue to be strengthened. And you need credible and viable opposition for that journey. And we don't have it now. There's a deficit in how our democracy is operating. This government, and I give Mr. President a lot of credit for the work he's done, but you see sometimes that there are policy self-corrections. They can be perfect. And when each time that happens, you say, you know what? That's where the deficit of opposition not being in place is. And it's not just the federal. Look at the states. Go down the line in terms of subnationals. What's happening in states and in local governments where the checks and balances are not there, alternative viewpoints are not there. The administrations, respective administrations running the states are not being constructively criticized and creating a more robust democracy. So there's more fairness and inclusion and better governance and deliverables to our people.
It's very interesting that as a member of the APC, you're bothered about that, because some members of the APC are happy with the numbers.
No, listen, Mr. President keeps talking about a viable opposition. And in fact, admonishing the judiciary today to say, you need to do your part to strengthen our democracy. That's what he was talking about. It says, let's have justice and fairness. And I say, in addition to what Mr. President is saying, more inclusiveness, no one left behind. Because these have ramifications even for security. When our people are beneficiaries of good governance, they have more jobs, they have more infrastructure, they have more benefits, more healthcare, more education, they are happier people, they are busy and have less time for criminality or insecurity. So it does have that implication. And that's part of where the deficit is. We need credible opposition. And Mr. President supports that from everything I know.
Just before we go, Mr. Kalgo, with how stern the president was today while he was addressing judicial officers, what mechanisms exist to correct judicial inconsistency?
I think Mr. President cannot be even bolder than what he has done. He can, because I think the problems are known to all and sundry. But for Mr. President to hit head-on the judiciary, I think is a commendable thing. What remains to be seen is that every year our judges in this country converge for the judges conference. So I think the reflection today on the burdens of Mr. President and also with the conflicting judgments we have, I think will help us move ahead and have a very, very, strong judiciary, because it is a necessity. It's not about choice, it's a necessity for this country. We have a lot of things bedeviling in the judiciary. I think that the country become bold enough to tackle those issues.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen. Interesting times ahead, and we'll definitely continue to monitor these developments as they unfold. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Jerry Chukwueke is a political affairs analyst, former chief technical advisor to Imo State Governor. Aminu Kalgo is a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right.
My pleasure.
All right. And thank you very much for